I still remember that electrifying moment as if it were splashed in neon across my very soul. The moment I learned that my wife's affair partner thought he had won, that he had tricked her into believing he was the better man. In those first 100 heartbeats, every hope and dream I had nurtured for our future together shattered into a storm of disbelief, betrayal, and a seething resolve that would redefine my destiny. The very idea that someone could stand where I once did, wearing the mantle of success and admiration while I was left with nothing but silent humiliation, ignited within me a fire so fierce it threatened to consume every ounce of my past. In that heart-stopping moment, I vowed that I would reclaim what was mine, by taking the house, the car, and her savings, and rewriting the story of my life in my own bold, unyielding ink. For years, I had believed that our marriage was a partnership built on shared dreams and mutual sacrifice. I worked tirelessly to create a home that embodied the promises we made to each other, a place where laughter echoed through its halls, where plans for a secure future were woven into every conversation. I believed in our shared vision, even when times were tough, sacrificing personal comforts and long hours to ensure that our life together was solid, that our future was secure. I invested not only money but every drop of my passion and effort into building a legacy for us, for our children, for the future we promised to honor. Yet somewhere along the way, cracks began to form in the foundation of our trust. I started noticing the small, almost imperceptible changes, the furtive glances at her phone, the secretive smiles shared with a man I had never met, the cold distance in her eyes when our gazes finally met. I tried to dismiss them as fleeting moments of distraction, but deep down an uncomfortable feeling began to fester. The revelation came on an ordinary evening that turned extraordinary in its cruelty. We were hosting a quiet dinner party at our house, a celebration meant to mark a minor professional milestone for her. I had meticulously planned every detail, ensuring that the ambience exuded warmth and sophistication, a tribute to the home we'd built together. The guests arrived and the conversation flowed freely, punctuated by soft laughter and shared stories. But as the night progressed, I began to notice something off. While most of our friends complimented her on her recent successes, a few discreet, whispered comments began to circulate about her new friend, a man whose name I had never heard before. The subtle glances exchanged between her and that stranger sent icy shivers down my spine, and I felt a growing pit in my stomach as the realization began to take hold. I managed to piece together the fragments over the following days. Through a series of overheard phone calls, suspicious messages on her social media, and the reluctant confessions of a trusted acquaintance, it became painfully clear that she had been involved in an affair, one that, in her eyes, had elevated her above the life we'd built. The man, with his charming smile and confident demeanor, had convinced her that he was the embodiment of everything I was not. And as if that weren't enough, he had paraded his victory in the most public way possible, flaunting their affair in social gatherings and even casually mentioning it to mutual friends. The betrayal was not just personal, it was a public humiliation that left me feeling exposed, stripped of the identity I had so carefully constructed. I spent nights locked in a battle of emotions, oscillating between a profound sense of loss and a burning need for retribution. I questioned every moment of my life. Had I been too complacent? Had I sacrificed my own dreams in pursuit of a shared future that was never truly hers to claim? Every memory of our early days, those moments when love had been a palpable force, when our plans for a happy, secure life had seemed so tangible, became a cruel reminder of what had been taken from me. But amid the darkness of those thoughts, a small, defiant flame began to kindle. I resolved that I would not allow her betrayal to define my entire existence. Instead, I would use it as the catalyst for a transformation so bold that it would leave no doubt about my worth. I made a silent vow that I would reclaim everything we had built together, and then some. That night, with my heart pounding in my chest and my mind racing, I began planning the first steps of my resurgence. I reviewed every financial statement, every record of our joint investments, and discovered with a mix of shock and grim determination that I had amassed considerable assets over the years. Assets that, if managed wisely, could secure a future far more promising than the one she had chosen to abandon. Among these was a substantial savings fund, carefully accumulated through years of hard work, and even more impressively, an inheritance I had quietly received, a sum that had never been discussed openly between us, a secret windfall that now represented my last, undeniable trump card. With this newfound knowledge of my own worth, I decided to take decisive action. I began by consulting with trusted financial advisors, legal experts, and real estate professionals, meticulously outlining a plan to disentangle myself from the life we had shared. I was determined to reclaim not only my financial independence but also to secure the legacy of everything I had worked for. Every conversation, every consultation was a small, calculated step toward a future where I would no longer be defined by the betrayals of the past. I mapped out a strategy that involved selling our house, the home that had once been a sanctuary of shared dreams, and using the proceeds to not only bolster my financial security but also to launch new ventures that were solely mine. I planned to sell the car that had been a symbol of our once promising journey together and reallocate funds toward opportunities that would let me reclaim my life on my own terms. Even as I set these plans in motion, the emotional toll was profound. I attended therapy sessions where I confronted the raw, unfiltered pain of her abandonment, where I learned to transform every bitter tear into a source of strength. My therapist helped me see that the betrayal, as devastating as it was, could be the impetus for an extraordinary personal and professional rebirth. Slowly, I began to understand that the man I was, the man with a quiet strength, a relentless work ethic, and an unyielding commitment to his own dreams, was far more capable than I had ever imagined. With each session, I reclaimed a little more of my self-worth, letting go of the notion that I was somehow less than I truly was. Every day as I meticulously executed my plan, I felt the old wounds begin to close. The process was painstaking and required a level of discipline I had never known before, but with every signed contract, every successful sale, every strategic move at work, I felt my sense of empowerment grow. I began to see that her betrayal, as cruel as it had been, was the catalyst for my ultimate transformation, a transformation that would redefine my future in ways I had only dared to dream of. As the days turned into weeks and then into months after my transformative solo vacation, I found myself emerging into a life that I had once only dared to imagine. A life replete with renewed purpose, boundless possibility, and a deep, unshakable self-worth. The shock of my wife's decision to take a solo trip had long since faded into a bittersweet memory, replaced by the thrill of reclaiming my freedom and embracing experiences that were uniquely my own. I had ventured to exotic locales, navigated bustling foreign cities, and savored the simple pleasure of being fully present in every new moment. Each sunrise over distant horizons, every conversation with strangers who shared their own stories of reinvention, built a mosaic of memories that celebrated my journey from heartbreak to empowerment. The trip had not been a flight of escape, it was a deliberate pilgrimage toward self-discovery. In the lavish comfort of first-class flights, I had reflected on the cruel irony of my wife watching from afar as I reveled in a life that was once a shared dream. I remembered the surreal feeling as I soared above the clouds, realizing that my journey wasn't about proving her wrong, but about affirming my own worth. It was a turning point that redefined every aspect of my existence. The countless hours spent wandering through sunlit piazzas, exploring ancient ruins, and engaging in spontaneous adventures had woven a rich tapestry of triumph out of sorrow. I felt liberated not because I was running away but because I was finally moving toward a destiny that was mine alone. Back at home, as I settled into a new routine that balanced work, creativity, and self-care, I could feel the profound transformation within me. I had restructured my career, and every day at the office became an arena where I showcased my innovative ideas and leadership with quiet confidence. Projects that once seemed insurmountable were now tackled with a bold clarity born from having faced the worst and still standing tall. Colleagues began to see me in a new light, a driven, visionary professional whose experiences lent a unique perspective to every challenge. The professional accolades and rising performance metrics were not just numbers, they were affirmations that I had reclaimed my power and could, indeed, build a future on my own terms. Financial independence became another pillar of my rebirth. I meticulously re-evaluated my finances, diversified my investments, and ensured that every decision I made was a step toward long-term security. That quiet inheritance I had once guarded became a seed for new ventures, opportunities that allowed me to invest in my dreams and secure a future where I could provide for myself and my loved ones without compromise. Every upward tick on my financial statements was a reminder that I was in control, that my value was recognized not by the opinions of others but by the tangible results of my hard work. The security I built was a fortress, guarding against any future attempts to diminish my worth. Yet, amidst these external successes, the inner transformation was even more profound. I began to understand that true healing is not a linear process. It is a complex journey filled with moments of raw vulnerability, fierce determination, and, ultimately, quiet acceptance. I embraced therapy as a vital part of my routine, where I could confront the lingering scars of betrayal and learn to see them as symbols of resilience rather than reminders of defeat. In those sessions, I delved deep into the wounds left by her departure and the pain of exclusion. I allowed myself to grieve, to cry, and then to finally let go. It was a painstaking process, but with every tear shed and every breakthrough achieved, I found myself becoming whole again. The reflection in the mirror began to show not a man broken by betrayal, but a man whose spirit had been reforged in the fires of adversity, a man who was more compassionate, more determined, and more authentically himself. This inner renewal spilled over into my relationships. I reconnected with old friends and forged new bonds with people who valued honesty, strength, and genuine connection over superficiality. We shared long conversations about our dreams, our failures, and the lessons we had learned along the way. These interactions were healing in their simplicity, a reminder that the support of those who truly care can mend even the deepest wounds. I learned to cherish those relationships, to invest time and energy in building a community of mutual respect and love. My heart, once heavy with resentment, now beat with a rhythm of gratitude and hope. I even found the courage to be vulnerable with others, sharing my journey through writing and conversation, and in doing so, I discovered that my story resonated with many. The validation I received from these heartfelt exchanges was a powerful affirmation that my worth was not diminished by past betrayals, but elevated by the resilience with which I embraced them. As I continued to chart my course forward, I began setting new, ambitious goals, both personally and professionally. I envisioned a future where I would continue to innovate in my field, lead with integrity, and mentor others who had faced similar hardships. I set my sights on launching new projects that combine creativity with strategic insight, projects that would not only propel my career to new heights but also create meaningful change in my industry. Every plan I drafted, every opportunity one pursued, was a deliberate step away from the pain of the past and a leap toward a future filled with promise. I recognized that the road ahead would not be without its challenges, but I embraced that uncertainty with a steady heart. I was building something enduring, a legacy that would stand as a testament to the transformative power of resilience and self-belief. Travel, too, became a recurring theme in my journey. I made it a point to explore new destinations, each trip an adventure that reinforced my independence and nourished my soul. I recalled the exhilarating days spent wandering through vibrant cities, the thrill of discovering hidden gems in far-off lands, and the quiet satisfaction of sitting by a sunlit shore, lost in thought. These experiences were not just escapes, they were affirmations that life was vast and full of wonder, a life that I was determined to live on my own terms. Every adventure reminded me that the world was brimming with beauty and that I had the power to shape my destiny by embracing every opportunity for joy and growth. The transformation was not solely measured by external milestones, however. It was in the quiet moments, the solitary evenings spent reading under a soft lamp, the reflective walks in the park at dusk, the long hours of writing in my journal, that I truly came to understand the magnitude of my journey. I learned that every setback was an invitation to rise, every moment of pain a lesson in strength, and every scar a reminder of the battles I had fought and won. I embraced the idea that my past, with all its imperfections and betrayals, was an integral part of who I was, yet it did not have to define my future. I was rewriting my story page by page with the ink of resilience and the promise of a life reimagined. And so, as the seasons changed and I looked toward the horizon with a heart full of hope and determination, I knew that I had emerged not as a victim of circumstance but as a victor of my own making. I had transformed every bitter experience into a stepping stone toward a future that was rich with possibility, a future where my worth was celebrated, my potential recognized, and my dreams pursued with unyielding fervor. My journey, marked by countless challenges and triumphant victories, had become a testament to the indomitable human spirit, a living, breathing narrative of how one can rise above betrayal and forge a destiny that is entirely one's own. That final morning, as I awoke to a sky streaked with the soft blush of dawn and the gentle hum of a new day, I felt the culmination of everything I had built in the wake of my wife's solo trip. In the quiet hours before the world fully stirred, I sat at my window, coffee in hand, and reflected on the long, tumultuous journey that had begun with heartbreak and evolved into a triumphant declaration of my own worth. I had transformed rejection and isolation into a life reimagined, a life filled with vibrant experiences, profound personal growth, and an unwavering sense of independence. Now, with each new adventure, I wasn't just proving to the world that I could thrive without her. I was also affirming that I was exactly who I was meant to be. In the days that followed, the evidence of my transformation rippled outward in ways I had only dared to dream of. I began to receive subtle, almost imperceptible signals that my ex-wife was watching from afar. I caught glimpses of her in social media updates and in hushed conversations among mutual acquaintances. There were moments when I'd overhear her name in contexts laced with regret, remarks that hinted she was both envious and surprised by the life I was now leading. Each time, rather than fueling any bitterness, these moments only deepened my quiet satisfaction. I had built a world that was vibrant and uniquely mine, a world where I had reclaimed every piece of my identity that she had once tried to diminish. I spent that summer traveling with a close friend who had become an unexpected beacon of hope during my journey. Together, we explored a tapestry of new destinations, sun-drenched beaches where the ocean sparkled like shattered diamonds, ancient cities steeped in history and mystery, and lush landscapes that evoked a sense of wonder with every step. On these trips, I reveled in the freedom of truly experiencing life without compromise. Each new sunrise over the horizon, every spontaneous adventure and late-night conversation under a canopy of stars, became a testament to my resilience and a vivid reminder that my happiness was mine to create. I documented my travels in long, reflective journal entries that later morphed into blog posts, each word a vivid expression of renewal and self-discovery. My writing resonated with others. Strangers reached out to share their own stories of overcoming heartbreak and finding freedom. Their words of encouragement further solidified my belief that life's richest rewards often come from the courage to embrace change. Back at home, the transformation was just as profound. I had meticulously rebuilt my personal space, transforming my once shared home into a sanctuary that reflected my newly claimed identity. The decor now combined a modern, minimalist aesthetic with touches of vibrant art, each piece a celebration of the life I was forging. I restructured my finances, investing wisely and setting aside a reserve that would protect my independence for years to come. I found that, as my financial security grew, so did my sense of self-worth. I no longer needed validation from a partner who had once taken my trust for granted. My bank statements and carefully managed investments were a clear, unassailable testament to my own diligence and foresight. Professionally, the metamorphosis was equally remarkable. My colleagues began to see me in a new light. The quiet, dependable man who had once been overshadowed by personal tragedy was now emerging as a bold, innovative leader. I spearheaded projects that challenged conventional thinking and introduced strategies that not only increased our company's profits but also redefined our approach to creativity and collaboration. Boardroom meetings that had once left me feeling invisible were now arenas where I commanded attention and respect. Every successful presentation, every nod of approval from superiors, was a triumph that reinforced the truth. My value was not determined by the failures of a past relationship, but by the strength and ingenuity I brought to every challenge. I even took on mentoring roles, guiding younger professionals who looked up to me and needed someone to show them that setbacks could be transformed into stepping stones for greatness. Throughout all this, I maintained a rigorous routine that balanced professional ambition with personal healing. Mornings began with long, solitary runs that cleared my mind and fortified my spirit. The rhythmic pounding of my feet on the pavement was a meditation, a daily reaffirmation that every step I took was a step toward the future I was determined to build. Evenings were reserved for reflection. I would sit quietly by my window as dusk settled, letting the fading light wash over me as I reviewed the day's victories and setbacks in my journal. These moments of introspection became the cornerstone of my recovery, helping me to integrate the lessons of my journey into a coherent vision for the future. And then there were the moments of unexpected clarity, those instances when, amidst the hustle and bustle of my new life, I would catch a glimpse of her presence now a distant echo of what once was. I learned that she was, in her own way, beginning to confront the consequences of her choices. I heard whispers among mutual friends that she was struggling to find her footing, that her own world was unraveling without the stability we once shared. Rather than stirring up old wounds, these revelations filled me with a calm, resolute satisfaction. I realized that my journey wasn't about revenge or bitterness. It was about reclaiming my power and creating a life that was defined by my own ambitions and values. I was no longer shackled by the past, no longer tethered to a relationship that had undermined my worth. I was free to soar, free to explore, and free to build a future that resonated with every dream I had ever held. In the final stretch of this transformative journey, I began to lay the groundwork for a legacy that would outlast the memories of betrayal. I started drafting plans for new ventures, projects that combined my professional expertise with my passion for innovation, and that promised not only financial success but a chance to give back to the community. I envisioned workshops and mentorship programs that would help others reclaim their self-worth after experiencing similar heartbreak. I began to see that my story was not just about personal triumph. It was about inspiring a generation of resilient souls to rise above adversity. Every meeting I attended, every strategic decision I made, was imbued with the quiet conviction that my destiny was mine to shape, and that the pain of the past was merely the fuel for a future filled with endless possibilities. As I stand at this threshold of a new era, I feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude for every challenge I have faced. The betrayal that once threatened to shatter my world has been transmuted into the very cornerstone of my strength, a strength that radiates from within and lights the way forward. I have learned that true success is not defined by the absence of pain, but by the ability to transform that pain into a catalyst for growth. Every scar, every moment of doubt, every tear shed in the quiet solitude of my recovery, has contributed to a narrative of resilience that now defines who I am. I am a man reborn, not defined by the failures of a past relationship, but by the triumph of rising above them, by the courage to build a life that is unshackled by regret and brimming with promise. Now, as I prepare to step into tomorrow, I do so with an unwavering heart and a mind filled with the lessons of my journey. I look out over a future that is as expansive as it is bright, knowing that every challenge I have faced has prepared me for this moment of profound renewal. The legacy I am building is a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most devastating betrayals. With every new day, I move forward, confident in my ability to create, to inspire, and to live a life defined by purpose, passion, and boundless possibility. I am no longer the man who was once diminished by betrayal. I am the architect of my destiny, the embodiment of resilience, and the living proof that from the deepest wounds, the brightest futures are born.